Alright guys, we're here for another episode of Flick You. This time we're doing Harry Potter. And I'm the guy with the show. This is the other guy on the show.
The other guy that does the show.
So I'm one guy, he's another guy. This is a shot for the boys.
For the show, Zinger.
He'll fill it up for us because I like him.
I have to narrate my fill-ups.
So we're doing Harry Potter. It's German. For today. We're going to run through it. We're going to also do the Fantastic Beasts Part 1. Whatever that was, I don't even know. So let's just jump right into this. So Harry Potter 1, it's about a kid, he has magical powers, finds out he's the chosen one, he gets sent to a thing, blah, blah, blah. He goes to Hogwarts, learns some shit. And
pretty much, he lives under a staircase, don't forget.
Yeah, and the beginning of the future hotness of Hermione.
It is a legacy.
It is a legacy.
I mean, it's a good movie. I liked it. It begins the story, starts everybody off.
What does this movie do great? Begins the story.
I mean,
what does this movie do wrong? A lot of stuff.
I mean, how much can you expect from, what are they, 13?
Yeah.
If that?
No, they're 11.
I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was pretty good.
They were pretty accurate with the ages for this movie. Like, I'm pretty sure they are 11, because it says they're 11 in the movie, but I'm pretty sure the actors were actually 11. Because it was 2001, and Emma Watson's born in 1990, I'm pretty sure. So
yeah,
that's,
I think so.
that's
anyway.
11. Anyways, so I'm going to go through some stuff that I don't like, because I made lots of notes, as you can see, about stuff that I do not like about these movies, even though they're all good.
My notes are all up in my head.
Yeah, alright, so I'd like to start off with the fact that you walk in, and they make a very fine point of showing you that there is a gigantic, endless staircase. But there is no part of this building large enough to have more than, 5 stories.
It looks like it's about, 6 stories tops.
Yeah, and there is 37 stories of stairs.
You look into this abyss.
I get it. It's magic. I get it, magic, but I'm real.
Can we kill him before we continue this? Let's just every time we come to a really serious flaw in the story, let's just hashtag magic.
Hashtag magic.
All right.
Also, fuck you. So yeah, I can give this to hashtag Dumbledore. Okay, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt. I'd also like to talk about how ridiculously bad the CGI is in this movie. I get it, it's 2001, but it is awful. There is nothing in the background looks real. You know how there's depth now when you have green screen?
I was gonna say that first Quidditch
there is
match.
Depth. Yeah, there is depth now with green screen, right? In this movie, there's no depth. They move their arms and it looks like a YouTube video with a green screen, which we don't have today, but I would have loved to show you.
It would have been great. But that one scene with him and Malfoy, and they're playing Quidditch for they're practicing Quidditch, I think, for the first time, and literally the background behind them is the Windows Explorer from 1999. It's that green hill with the perfect blue sky.
We're gonna get to this.
It's literally
get into this.
Ridiculous.
All right. I'd also like to point out the mail scene when the owls come. They are just a bunch of I get it. Later on in the movies, you realize that the owls are dumb. They fly into poles and stuff.
Some of them are. Some of them are smart. Hedwig's smart.
They're flying around to the point where when it zooms out, they're so scattered that there's no way that any of the packages they drop could perfectly land to the person without either hitting another owl or getting blown away. I get it. Hashtag Dumbledore. Hashtag magic. But don't give me this bullshit. This movie also has terrible acting. Terrible. This is the point where we realize Ron sucks. Okay.
Nah, you're
let's get more into this. Let me get through these notes because you don't have notes,
go on.
All right. So there's a snitch scene where he teaches Harry Potter how to play. That guy comes. His name's Wood. He's teaching Harry Potter. He's the captain. How to play. Okay. He releases the snitch. There is a solid 5-second scene of this guy looking for the snitch while it's flying around. The snitch is right here. It has not moved, and he's like, "Where did it go?" And it's okay. Let's get into this also. Hermione explains to Ron how to say the spell, which I believe it was Wingardium Leviosa.
Wingardium Leviosa.
But
it's
Leviosa. This is the thing. Every single person, even Hermione, they all say it the exact same way, but for some reason it works for Hermione, and Ron says it exactly the same.
Leviosa, not
I don't
Leviosa.
Care. Let's go over the rules for Quidditch.
Idiot.
She drops the line. The girl comes in, the coach, and she's like, "Yeah, these are the rules for Quidditch. No fouls and stuff." They literally demolish each other. They smash each other. They cheat. Okay, there's no. Who calls these fouls? Who's calling? Because there was no fouls. Why is there a ref?
I didn't hear one foul.
Let's go through this. Why are there points? You have the beaters and the people score the points. It doesn't matter because if you get the snitch, Okay, the snitch shouldn't have a point value. If it says the snitch is 150 points and the other ones are blah, 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 this point, okay? If you had 150 to 10, and then some guy got, or 150 to 0, and the guy got the snitch, you're tied. You didn't lose. That should be if you catch the snitch, the game's over. The snitch should not have a point value.
And whatever points you get.
And the whole game, the rest of the game, you have 10 other people on the court or whatever, and they're breaking their ass. They're getting tripped. They're getting fouled. They're going 100 miles an hour, crashing into wood.
They're doing the real nitty-gritty work.
And then one guy just catches the snitch, and the game's over.
That's it.
Okay?
Oh, fuck.
Anyways, Harry Potter's scar looks like someone just drew it on his head. And the villain is weak as MF in this.
He was, come on, he was like still regaining his strength. Voldemort, he needed to still use a host body.
It's this movie.
The beginning of the story.
I give this movie a 6.25 out of 10, and that's generous because I had a fun time watching it. I just like to point out all the garbage of movies.
Yeah, that's your thing. I just like to be nostalgic, and you know what I mean? I like to remember the good times.
I actually
like the troll fights. And, you know, battling Cerberus. I think out of, like, the whole movie, though, Cerberus was probably the best CGI scene.
I don't want to get into troll fights where the guy's swinging his stuff around and all three of them are looking and they're not looking even at the guy. Like, couldn't they be like, okay, he's going to be right there? Like,
right. In a synopsis, he didn't like it very much. 6.25, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll give it a 7. I'll give it a 7.
I'll say I don't like you. All right, so the second movie, you want to give us, you know this?
Are we going in order?
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's the Chamber of Secrets.
Also, the first one is either the Philosopher's Stone or the Sorcerer's Stone, depending on where you are.
If you're from the colonies.
Yeah, that's actually true.
And apparently don't speak English well enough to say philosopher.
Yeah. Well, I'll get to the colonies part in a second because that does take, I think, a big factor of this movie. Part 2. This is like Christopher Columbus again directing. He's the one that did the Home Alones. These are very childish movies. Like, I get it. I love the way the series grew, and I see it because it grew like with them. Yeah. And I like that. But the first ones are so like stupid. Okay. There's a funny joke at the beginning because they can't say the words clearly. They go in the fireplace that teleports them, and Harry's parents, Ron's parents say to him, say where you want to go clearly. So he's trying to say Diagon Alley, and he says diagonally, and it takes him to nowhere. Like, you knew that was coming. Like, it's so stupid. Like,
takes him to,
it's funny because when you're that age watching it, and I saw the first 2 in theaters, and I never saw another Harry Potter in theaters after that. But I never read the books. But I just think that was so stupid because, like, now watching as an adult, I saw that, and I was like, he's gonna say diagonally, and he said it, and I was like, oh my god. Like, I didn't even remember it.
I think even as a kid, I kind of predicted it that he's going to... But, like,
but you notice immediately in this movie that it's better than the first. Right from the go.
Yeah, just the way they get to Hogwarts. It was already way more interesting.
Driving in a car.
Yeah.
They do a scene where they learn about growing herbs. Okay, the mandrakes. Oh, we forgot to shoot for this. That was super small. I'm not complaining, but we're minorities, yeah. But... They do these mandrakes where you pull them out, and when you pull them out before you put them
their heads
it
off.
is the single most annoying noise maybe ever in the history of cinema, let alone Harry Potter. It's just like, like, and then they all pull them out at the same time, and like the people pass out because if you hear their sound, it knocks you out. But instead of giving them earplugs, they make them wear earmuffs. Like, magic hashtag backwards.
Hashtag Dumbledore.
This is my favorite part of all, like, okay, maybe there's one more coming up, but they released the Pixies in the magic, the defense against the
Dark
Arts. They released the Pixies, okay? So they're trying to get the Pixies. Not one person physically aims or looks at any of the Pixies during this scene of like bad CGI.
You gotta get a bunch of kids to try to act like best they can with CGI.
You're doing CGI in post.
Yeah.
Okay? So this is you. Boom, boom, I'm doing this, okay? Oh, I'm the guy who's doing the CGI. Pixie, Pixie,
I guess,
Pixie,
yeah,
Pixie.
Pixie.
No, I'm gonna be like, this guy's pointing here, and I'll put the Pixie somewhere over there, so this kid looks like an idiot.
The way they did it, they probably just said, like, guys, look, like, they're gonna be in this general area, just wave your wands this way.
Oh, the best part is when the teacher starts doing it, and he is absolutely nowhere near it.
That's when we get Professor Lockhart.
I like these movies. Yeah. I just need to point out the nonsense of Harry Potter and have fun with it. So, on top of that,
Johnny freaking whipping Willow.
I just want to point out the camera kid. This stupid camera kid. Like, I know you didn't fully rewatch to the max, but there is a kid in this movie that goes around with a camera and takes pictures of everything that's happening.
Gets petrified by the basilisks.
How the mother F is he every single place where something is happening? They're in like the middle of the woods, and there's camera kid taking pictures of them.
Yeah, I didn't even take that in, but you're right. That kind of. But there is a
and
lot
camera
of
kid.
holes in the
Camera
story,
kid does
man.
show up later on, but never again with a camera.
No, I believe he dies in the Deathly Hallows. Actually, that's the next time you see him.
in Deathly Hallows. But never again do you ever... you actually catch him, a glimpse of him, I believe, in Order of the Phoenix. And but whatever, it's so, that character was no reason for this character. Like, they thought it was going to be comic relief. Well, you wrote him out so fast. Okay?
Because like the movies, the series has changed directors' hands so many times, right? Every director's put their little flair on it. I think when it came to the Chamber of Secrets, like who filmed at that time, and who was the director for Chamber of Secrets?
I would also like to just give a shout out to the Wizard GIF paintings, GIF.
Anyway, before I fucking forget this point,
tell me about GIF paintings.
I think he just wanted to go for like a nostalgia kind of feel. Like every school has the photographer kid, like let's the whatever the hell the freaking
photograph kid,
whatever the fuck. What do you call them there?
I get it, like the AV nerd.
Yeah, the AV. There you go, AV
I get
class.
it, but listen, the Wizard GIF painting GIFs. So I keep saying GIF. The GIFs. Let's just give a shout out to those, because
you're talking about like
somehow they serve
way the houses, the doors of the houses.
No, I'm talking about how they have the pictures. Yeah,
yeah, the moving.
somehow they have like this purpose. Okay, this is another bad villain in this movie with a bad final fight scene, and not once in this movie, when Dobby talks, do his lips match anything that he's saying. Zero. This is worse than an old like kung fu movie or like an old anime.
You will bring dishonor to the house, and I will defeat you in battle.
It's even worse than that, because he's like, "Oh, Harry," and his mouth's like,
he's got dry lips.
He's not even moving his mouth, and it's like, "Harry, I love you." And it's like, I don't know. Fuck you, Dobby.
Hey man, don't say that about Dobbs.
All right, I don't have much more on that. I just like ripping those two apart. The best one I'm gonna rip apart is Part 4, because that movie, even though how good it was,
I'm just gonna keep jumping to you ripping up all these movies.
I'm ripping. You're the nice guy.
So let me freaking give my.
I'm giving this a 6.75.
It's not the worst rating. I was gonna give this one probably 7.5.
That's a large rating. Like a 7.5 is a swell movie.
I like it. It's a swell movie to me, man. You get like the whole origin of like Tom Riddle, which is probably one of my favorite characters in the series.
Yes.
Because like when you see Voldemort as a young like his progression to becoming the villain.
I agree.
It's a really good backstory.
I'm sorry.
It's probably one of the best backstories for a villain ever.
I want to forgive everyone because say sorry because I don't like I was saying there are really good points in these movies. For some reason, when I watch them. Maybe I was stoned. I only wrote down the stuff that was super bad about them.
Yeah, clearly you missed a lot of stuff. Like, these movies can be
like... there's the Tom Riddle part, yes, is good.
There's even a lot of
the thing is,
the
reasons that I have more hardcore bad stuff on these movies is because the good stuff, as good as it was, there wasn't enough of it. The Tom Riddle part, yes, is really cool. I love that. And I love the cloak and finding the Chamber of Secrets and all this stuff. But there's a lot of weird stuff in the middle that is... Every movie is 2.5 hours long. The combined length of this series is like 19 hours if you include Fantastic Beasts.
It's just sad that like you're right there. Like they have such long run times and a lot of like really cool details and aspects of the books that did really well in the books. Yeah. Didn't make it into these movies.
Listen,
some of them as like deleted scenes, but a lot of them just like didn't make it at all.
Yeah, because I'm sure in the books there was sex. There was definitely sex in one of these books.
I don't remember really, but like
I'm talking like
the point I'm trying to make is like they did a lot of filler. You're right, like they filled up a lot of the gaps in the movies with like pointless shit, and it's like you could have just put the information from these books
aside
that made the
from
series
the
so
later
well.
ones. Okay, even like a few in the middle.
Do so well.
You easily 2.5 hour runtime, let's say, okay? You could have easily took out 20 minutes from each movie, still made it like 2 hours 10 minutes, and you could have still had a great movie and it would have been tighter and more close. There's no development of any characters, period. Throughout
there totally is, but it just sucks that like it's not within a movie. It's like it's within the whole series, and it sucks that you have to like kind of sit through some of the shittier ones. to eventually get to the end of this story and see like you can't say that there's no character development.
Okay, let's get into this
Harry,
deeper.
Ron, and Hermione.
Let's get into this deeper, and I'll explain what I mean.
Neville, come on.
As we progress through this, we'll get in deeper into that topic because I agree and don't disagree with you. Okay, but let's just continue this.
Good.
So part 3, Prisoner of Azkaban. This movie completely. I even wrote it here. Changed the direction of where these were going. I don't know if it's the same in the books. I never read the books. But
shot.
Producer Drew, good call.
Yes, guys, always on our ass.
But let's just point this out, okay? The movie's completely changed. And Alfonso Cuarón, I think, is the guy who directed it. I'm 90% sure.
So, yeah.
He's a really solid sci-fi director. He knows what he's doing with stuff. But this movie completely changed. Like, the first movies, I get it, you're progressing with the characters, but they're still not that old. It's still technically in the growing point, shouldn't have got this dark fast. This movie is super sci-fi. This movie is the most sci-fi of all the movies. And a lot of people will argue with you, Lord of the Rings, okay? Star Wars.
It's sci-fi, more like mythological.
But wait, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars are fantasy. Okay? Those are fantasy. You want to know why? No, it's not. There's nothing... science
fiction.
Science fiction. Harry Potter is 100% science fiction. Because it's magic. Lord of the Rings, I get it. It takes place... But it's all like... Their technology is of an era that has passed for us.
Yeah, but the whole point of like you're defining it wrong though, because sci-fi is science fiction. So like Star Wars, Star Trek.
Star Wars is absolute. Star Wars has an element. Star Trek is sci-fi.
But you gotta understand, like science fiction is like fiction about like people who are trying to explain or like at least dramatize science in a way that's like exactly. Exaggerated.
There's nothing dramatized about science in Star Wars.
Yeah, there absolutely is. There's fucking light speed.
Star Wars
12 parsecs.
Star Wars takes place in a galaxy far a long time ago. It
says a galaxy far away. It doesn't say
away.
A time far.
Yes, it does. It says in a time a long time ago in a galaxy far away.
Right, a long time ago. Okay, yeah, you're right.
That automatically defeats the purpose of sci-fi.
Why? They mean anybody that
listen. You can argue this all day. There's elements of sci-fi, but Star Trek is this movie is a
different episode.
Harry Potter has fantasy elements, but is a true sci-fi. Where Lord of the Rings is more like a fantasy with elements of that. Okay, doesn't matter. I just want to know one thing. At this point, I was frustrated. How the fuck does Harry Potter keep ending up back at the house? In the second one, he moves over to Ron's house. He's now living with Uncle Ron and the boys. Okay? How the hell, at the end of this, did he end up back in that bad situation at home? Does no one care about this kid?
Yeah, I didn't understand that.
You're loved by every professor. You have Dumbledore on your side. You have all the Ministry of Magic. You have the Weasley family, who adopted you, and somehow you ended up back at home again.
They have like accommodations and boarding enough for like I think it's like 8 or like 7 kids or
something. Stop having
shit
kids.
Like that.
You're stupid.
And one of them's not even there.
This movie immediately...
One of them's never there. Harry could have slept in fucking Charlie's room the whole time. Isn't he like saving dragons or somewhere?
This movie immediately has better CGI. Like, as soon as it starts.
Oh, absolutely.
I know it's later on. But, like, the first one's a CGI.
Are we talking about Azkaban still or something else?
Azkaban.
Azkaban.
And this is the movie where we realized, and I wrote this here, he can vouch for this, that Ron is a useless twerp. Okay? He is a useless twerp. Get out of here.
He comes out of his shell.
He never comes out. He comes out of his shell in the last 5 minutes of Deathly Hallows 2.
No, before that.
Okay.
No, you know what? Actually, I'll prove you wrong. The very first fucking movie. Ron goes from being a useless twerp. He comes right out of his shell, and he gets them past the chest.
And becomes
the chessboard part. You know what I mean? He stepped up there, man.
Listen, Chess McChesterton.
He sacrificed himself.
Let's get this out of the way.
Sacrifice myself.
I have to point this out. On a guy who believes in equality. The shrunken heads on the bus.
Those were dope.
They do not. They make their best attempt at doing a Jamaican accent. That is not a Jamaican accent.
Maybe they're Haitian.
We're from Toronto. We all have Jamaican friends.
Maybe they're Haitian.
They are white people going like, yeah, man, when a Ross.
I don't remember anybody doing a Jamaican accent except the one shrunken head.
Shrunken heads come up more in the series. Did you ever notice that?
Yeah, they do.
Okay.
She Tolkien.
Anyways,
Rowling likes.
I don't have much to rip apart about this movie. This movie's epic. You get Sirius Black. Sirius Black is my favorite part of this whole thing.
Professor Lupin.
Gary Oldman, are you stupid? He just won the Best Actor award for being Winston Churchill, and he's dope as AF and AF in The Mothers. AF.
And a little tidbit fact here. I mean, Daniel Radcliffe even said his best performances in this entire series were all the ones where he worked alongside Gary Oldman.
This movie is completely different than anything else. Like, I'm telling you, this one has the most sci-fi. You have Hermione has the go back in time thing.
It's time travel.
Okay, this is how sick this movie is. You watch the whole thing play out, and then you keep seeing them getting help somehow, and you're like, how are they getting help? Then they meet Dumbledore, and Ron's attacked, and Dumbledore tells them, you need to go back. And Harry's like, what do you mean? And Hermione's like, I know what he's talking about. So takes them back in time, and they were the ones that guided them along the whole time in the first place. But this time, they know what to do to make sure that it gets to save everybody. And it's like, so they've already gone back. This is the second time they're going back. And Dumbledore knows this. Dumbledore's the only one. Dumbledore's the only one that knows this, and that was the sickest part. Like, I love this movie already. It's always been one that I said was probably my favorite. But when I rewatched it the other day, I was like, wow, that stood out to me. Like, I was like, the whole movie is good, and I was like, did I really think this was the best one though? Like, maybe there's other ones that are better. That maybe part happened, biased. And I was like, boom, 12 Monkeys. I just got blown away. Super bad. Anyways, I give this movie an 8.5. Like, that's a big jump from 6.75. I was going to say,
yeah, I kind of fucking agree, man. Like, I would say it's up there in the 8s.
Yeah, this is, like, epic. All right, so I think we're good with that. All right, guys, so we forgot to mention at the end, in the third movie, the Dumbledores change places. I don't remember the name of the first guy, but R.I.P.
Passed away.
You got Michael Gambon after, the legend of Top Gear, Gambon's Corner. But
yeah, that's what they named that after.
I'd like to just say, personally, I like the first Dumbledore. He wasn't as... The second... Gambon has way more flamboyance and, like...
Yeah.
Character to him. But the first guy was more darker and, like meaner to Harry, kind of, but, like, in a loving way. You know, like, he was more of, like, a mentor type.
He also just kind of seemed as old as they wanted Dumbledore to seem to me. Like, I feel like the new guy, like, even though he was, like, really old and famous, really seemed kind of youthful, like, in his acting and his enthusiasm and stuff like that. So when you compare the two, in relative terms, because obviously he still played an elderly wizard, so, I mean.
All right, let's jump into part 4, Goblet of Fire, and we'll bang this shot. It's Harry Potter Olympics.
Goblet of Fire.
It's very, like, perfect for the scenario. So, Goblet of Fire. Alright, I like to just... This one's about, like, the Olympics, the Wizard Olympics. So, I'd like to just point out how this movie starts. Now, Harry is kind of living with Ron's family again. Which I think this is the point where it happens the most. But, so they go to the Quidditch World Cup. The Quidditch World Cup is immediately ruined by the KKK. In Black Hoods. And
then, like, you never hear about it again. It's supposed to be this huge thing.
Plus side, David Tennant is in this. Yay, Doctor Who. You can't go wrong. You already had Gary Oldman. You're going to throw Doctor Who. This is already an English-heavy movie.
Oh, hugely.
With big-time English actors. Maggie Smith and Michael Gambon, Daniel Radcliffe, like, Emma Watson becomes a huge one later on.
Careers, yeah, but still.
Ron kind of like...
By this point, very famous actors.
Adding David Tennant is a huge thing, and he's my favorite Doctor Who, by the way. Thanks. But that's a plus. And then, so whatever they go through it, they do the intros to their schools, and I would like to just point out that I have lots of notes on this one movie. Like, a lot.
So we'll let him get through that, because he likes to rant a little bit.
Oh, I love to rant. Like I said, these movies are great, and I love to just rant on the shit. The entrances from the other schools are utterly hilarious. Did you catch that, Fruit Fly?
I think I got him.
He's been bothering my beer for a while, but their entrances are hilarious. Like, they're so bad that it's like, we are the Russians. I'd also like to just, you know what? I don't know. We'll wait for this, but
speaking of the entrances, though, at least, like, what I loved about the entrances was that you get to see this, like, broad ass, like, this other side of the wizarding world. Like, it's not,
yes.
You, like, the whole time, like, for this is like coming on 4 movies, you're thinking like Hogwarts is like the center of it all, but like it's really not. Like, all over the world you have these like schools and academies for magical people, and I think it's really cool.
There's one aspect missing, like I said, I'm gonna get into later and I'll mention it, but there's one small thing maybe missing, but I agree with you on that. It's kind of a cool thing. Every Dumbledore's reaction to everything in this movie, of all of Michael Gambon's performances as Dumbledore, this is his worst. Like, his reactions to everything that happens with CGI, like, I know I complain about this, and in part 3, the CGI got really good, and in this movie, it's still okay. It got a little bit worse all of a sudden. I know they changed directors at this point. So you had Christopher Columbus in the first two, then you had Alfonso Cuarón in the third one, and then I'm not sure who did this off the top of my head, but then after this it went to Yates for all the rest of them. It was Yates for even
He
into
did a really good job.
and he kept progressing his goodness, but the CGI is bad. And Dumbledore's reaction, not just him, everyone's reaction in this movie to anything CGI is like the first ones again, where Dumbledore's like.
Whoa.
And not even near it. Like, it's over here, and he's like, oh, okay. Anyways, whatever. But CGI is still good, regardless. Okay.
Okay. Enough of the CGI.
But at this point, this is the movie where at this point I'm like, what's the deal with Malfoy? Like, this is the point where it gets pushed beyond him being like the wannabe cool. Like, you know how there's always like a bully kid?
Yeah.
There's no way you're getting bullied by Malfoy. Like, of all the kids there's the big kids from Slytherin, like the big, bulky, like kids that look like they beat kids up in England. Okay?
The kids that look like Malfoy should be like their little henchmen.
Harry is the chosen one. Just Patronus him out of existence. Like, I just like to point out Patronus is like the best attack. You're just like
Patronus charm.
Patronus. And like when that's cool. Okay, we get into that.
Sounds because it sounds like tequila.
Just fucking tequila him out of existence. You know what I mean? Like,
I think it was this movie that you kind of see like Malfoy's dad, the way he treats him. No.
Yeah, and it's like I
believe it was.
Even if your family's bad and they're Slytherin, like Slytherin doesn't mean you're bad. There's 4 houses. Okay?
No, Harry was supposed to be in Slytherin.
Yeah, exactly. Let's just go through this quickly. There's 4 houses. Okay, there's the one and the other one.
Hufflepuff, Gryffindor,
Ravenclaw, Slytherin. Okay, and they all have their own distinctions. We should have did the test before this to see what we are. To be honest with you, I'm probably most likely a Slytherin. But
definitely a Gryffindor.
The thing I don't get is it doesn't make you bad because you're a Slytherin. It's like going to school. If you get divided into 4 groups at school and you all just had different names, why is that one group bad? Just because it's represented by a snake? Just because Tom Riddle went to that thing, Voldemort. Okay, spoilers if you're an idiot. But I don't see what being in that makes you bad. And it was like, from the beginning until this point, it immediately tries to say, like, there's Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff, and then they're just the whatever. Then there's the good guys.
But like I said before, like...
Okay, but let me finish. What there's what are they?
What?
Gryffindor is the good guys, Slytherin are the bad guys, and Hufflepuff and Ravenclaw are just like there. It shouldn't be like this. And I get where they were going because they're trying to point fingers, and I get it because it's the snakes represent the bad, but I still don't get it.
Yeah, like that's where, like, if you pay attention, like Rowling, she touches on a lot of like political stuff. Like when it comes, whether it be like slavery, where she looks at like the elves and stuff like that, like kind of looks at like, you know, like American slavery of like African Americans and stuff like that. Where like this, like, or when she talks, like she shows Malfoy and stuff like that. There's always the school bully, people needing to deal with that. Like with this, I think it was like Gryffindor represents everything good: the Griffin, the winged beast, like the angel that protects. And Slytherin, it's not that it's a bad house; it's just it has a reputation of all of like the evil people in this series, in this world of Harry Potter, have mostly been in this house.
Like I said, we'll progress.
You know, the snake being the representation of evil.
We will progress later into this to. Obviously, everyone knows what happens if you're watching this. Don't give me no bullshit about spoilers. It ended in 2011, but they give you no matter what happens with Snape, they constantly make you feel like Snape is a bad guy, even though. I get it. He's a stern guy. It's basically Alan Rickman being Alan Rickman. So I get it. He's a great actor, and R.I.P. to him, big time. You want to watch a great Alan Rickman movie? Check out Dogma. Kevin Smith. He's great in that movie.
Never saw it.
I will punch you in the face. Okay, we're gonna do a Kevin Smith episode now because he said that. Okay, coming up.
Stay tuned.
But R.I.P. Alan Rickman. He's dope, but he's basically playing Alan Rickman. He's just a stern guy with a deep voice. He showed nothing but care for Harry. And in the way that Dumbledore did in the first 2 of sternness to better you, okay? there's nothing really bad about him, but they keep trying to portray everything that him and Harry do together is like he's bad, Harry's good. But then when they're separated, everything that he does for Harry is good, which I just don't get that. Okay,
let's see the bigger picture. But
we're moving on.
All right.
I'd like to talk about Harry and Ron's lovers' quarrel that they have in this movie. It is hilarious. It's like
just fuck already.
Yeah, like forget about Hermione. Like I honestly at this point, like I already know what happens, but while rewatching this, I was like, oh my god, Harry and Ron are together. But
it's a close bonded friendship.
Let's get to my best parts. Like I made notes on this and I want you guys to laugh, all right? First of all, Harry gets triple dissed at the motherfucking ball. Okay? First of all, Hermione goes to the ball with Alex Ovechkin from the Russian team, okay? The Weasley girl hooks up with Neville Longbottom. Like, are you stupid? No. You're in the future. You're gonna be getting boned by Harry, and you're going with Neville Longbottom. Like, I don't care about. I like Neville, but
Neville's a fucking.
You don't realize Neville how cool Neville is until like part 7. Okay.
Like that.
Anyways, and then the random girl that he likes, who has no backstory but is in all of the movies, whose name is some Asian stereotype, I'm sure. Goes with Edward from Twilight to the ball. All right. So sorry, Kristen Stewart, but you didn't get to go. And then R2D2 crowd surfs. I know he's not R2D2, but it's like Warwick Davis. All right. Let me just throw that out there. Shout out to Willow. So Myrtle spies on Harry Potter in the bathtub in a super fucking perverted way. Okay? A super perverted way. This is my thing. And at this point, I just noticed this. Okay? We refer 4 movies deep, and I wrote this. He can look at this to vouch for me. At this point, I just noticed she's like a 40-year-old schoolgirl. How did she age? She died as a child. How did she age as a ghost?
I don't know.
I had to look it up because I was like, maybe they just made the ghost makeup on her and made her look old.
Oh my god, we're forgetting.
She's 55 years old.
We're forgetting something. Magic.
Magic. She is old as fuck. Pervertedly spying on Harry. She fully goes for a BJ when she's like, put it under the water. And then she goes in. Harry Potter's naked. Like, get out of here. Like, you know what? I'm not going to be honest. If I'm fucking 14 years old and I'm in magic school, #magic, #Dumbledore.
I'm catching a ghost BJ.
I'm trying to catch Ghostbusters 2 ghost BJs. Or like The Shining BJ Bear. Which
some of that
I'm going to assume you don't know about BJ Bear, but I'm going to show you BJ Bear after from The Shining. And it is hilarious. Because I've watched that movie so many times and never noticed it and just realized it from movie fights. Shout out to Screen Junkies.
Is it going to make me want a ghost blowjob?
It's going to make you want a bear blowjob. But, yeah, that's just got super weird, okay?
Let's do it.
One of the teachers' names is Rita Skeeter. The names in this movie, I just want to point this out, are very bad. Like, Cho Chang.
That's what it was, Cho Chang.
Like, I just came to me.
They're very Stan Lee, Marvel Universe.
It's like
Pepper Potts.
Yeah, like what's going on? She's Asian, Cho Chang. Like, I don't get that. She's an old lady. Let's call her Rita Skeeter. I'm sure she obviously wasn't listening to Yin Yang Twins, Skeet Skeet.
My baby.
So Ron gets kissed by a French girl and jizzes at this point. And this is where I wanted to go with this, okay? Every one of the groups, okay, every person in this movie from Hogwarts, I'm not going to say, oh, it's not racially diverse, because they do a pan and there's like 3 black guys. But every person in this movie is represented by some sort of British colony. They're either English, Irish, Scottish, Chinese like Hong Kong, Indian, okay, or like a Jamaican. This is the messed up part.
Isn't that every British movie?
Yeah, no, but I'm saying like there's no other. It doesn't push you anywhere else. There's no like. I get it. There's the French school, the Russian school, whatever. But there's nobody. There's
they
nobody.
Didn't show the American campus.
Okay, but this is where I'm going to on this. Then I'd like to point out that the 2 schools are French, like English, like enemy, like you know, and Russian, English enemy. Like, where were the German team? Like, why was there no Yemeni? Where were the Deutsch? Okay, where was the USA team?
I don't know.
You know what I mean? Okay, let's just go realistically. I get what you were saying. Remember, you get the aspects from the other countries, which is cool. But then by the end of the movie, you realize it's the Russians and the French, like English enemy type thing. Okay.
True, but I mean,
why was there no German team?
Because they're gonna touch on it in later movies,
and they would have came through and
just
been
like they did with Fantastic Beasts.
No.
They showed you the American side of things.
Anyways, just get through this quick, fast. This is the first appearance of Voldemort as a Sith Lord.
In his final form.
There's some really cool scenes towards the end of this movie. Like, this movie's actually pretty good. And
I thought it was great.
This movie does suffer, though, from a stupid Lord of the Ring ending and a combination of a Star Wars / Ghostbusters lightsaber battle at the end. Like, I love their magic tricks they do, the Patronus, all this, the nonsense, okay? But why do, when they come to, like, a final battle, it's just like a Ghostbusters wave? Like, we're gonna just point it!
Seems more like a Dragon Ball Z, like, your force against my force.
I said.
And, like, back and forth, and then finally
later on, Weasley mom is gonna fight the other girl, and they do cool tricks to each other. But Harry Potter's battle is just like... But everybody else he fights, he Patronuses. But then he fights Voldemort. It's just like, Ghostbusters, Ray.
Everybody else is much weaker than him.
I give this movie a 7.5. It is a good movie, but it is a huge step down from the third one. I love the like athletic / like battle aspect of it.
Competition.
But the competition, but everything else around it is nonsense, and the ending is good. But it does suffer the Lord of the Rings 5 endings. Okay? Not a shot at Lord of the Rings because they are good, but okay. So do you have anything else?
I'll give it a 7.5.
7.5, so we're on the same page.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to jump into part 5. Let's take this shot. Do you know what part 5 is called? Because I'm pretty sure it's Order of the Phoenix.
The Order of the Phoenix.
All right. So, are you on shots or is that me?
I'm on shots.
All right. So, in this one, this one is where Yates comes in, David Yates. I'm pretty sure it's David Yates. Yeah.
I believe so.
He changes this because he stays as the director, so for the rest of the series you get his vision, and I'm okay with it because he progressively gets better as it goes, and I'd really like to see some good stuff from him outside of Harry Potter. I'm sure he has stuff, I've never seen it, but the number one thing I want to point out in this movie is Harry Potter, okay? You went through part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, the same things I was complaining about. How does he end up back at the house? How? How did this happen? You already moved out twice with the Weasleys. Somehow, everyone was like, nobody cares about you, Harry.
Maybe the Weasleys were going to go on a business trip and they couldn't take it.
Why does no one love Harry? He's the chosen one. Did anyone see The Matrix? Like, did anyone who made this movie watch The Matrix? You baby the chosen one. He's your child. You Morpheus him. You give him a blue pill, then you tell him the blue pill's doesn't mean anything. Take the red pill too. Let's get high together and go back.
Fuck.
You're my dude.
I'll take those pills.
Let's get drunk. We'll plug each other into the Matrix. We'll do kung fu together. You know, we'll watch porn together in the Matrix. You left Harry Potter out there like a bitch, send him back home to his bitch family.
He does get left stranded a lot.
Yeah, what's that deal?
I know.
Oh, but don't worry. The Order of the Phoenix is going to swoop in and save him.
But, I mean, they always do, right?
But I don't... Like, I really like the introduction of Order of the Phoenix. And I would have liked to see at the end, when they're all dead, the Order of the Phoenix, whatever, and Harry Potter's there with the next young kids, and they have their, like, little army going that before it goes, jumps to the future, blah, blah, blah. They were, like, say something like, who's going to stop me? And Harry was like, oh, the Order of the Phoenix. And you see that he's with the new kids, and they're the new Order of the Phoenix. Because we'll get to the later of the way the movie ends, but it ends on a happy note, yes, but I would have liked to see
more so
them become that secret society that protects the magic universe. Because you have the Ministry, you have Hogwarts and the other schools, but then there was always Order of the Phoenix protecting
they could be
underground.
like the better version of the Ministry, because I feel like the Ministry is more like the government, where they're more insensitive.
So this what I said was, yeah, so he ends up back in part 3 with the Weasleys, but somehow in part 5 he's still, like, KKK messed everything up, so he's back. This movie is way more political than any of the other ones. Like, The first two are childish. The third one completely changed the thing. This is what's special with the third one. You can argue the third one or the last one are the best, or whatever you want is the best. That's your choice. But the third one is special because it completely changed the direction of where the franchise was going immediately, right away. Boom, we're going somewhere else. The fourth one carries the vibe, but doesn't change anything. It kept it the same. In this fifth one, it once again changed the whole storyline. So it carried on the darkness of the third one, which the fourth one had a little bit, but the fourth one tried to be about the Olympics and nothing else. Okay, whatever it's called.
Did have its first real death. Right?
It did. Okay, but this is what I'm saying. In the fifth one, the direction changed again. It kept the darkness, the vibe, and it went political. Now all of a sudden, it's no longer about what's happening, the bad things that are happening to Harry. There's bad things happening to the whole magic community. Hashtag magic.
Not even just them, like to everybody. Like there's even civilian casualties going on. They're exposing themselves to the civilian world.
I agree. And this one has also a much more thriller-ish style. Like, to me, like, there's the last one is dark, but this one took a super dark turn. Like, it went way more thriller, like Seven, or, you know what I mean? Like, it took a vibe of, like, horror. It had, like, a horror-ish element to a lot of the things that are happening, and the political element, it added a lot. And I would just like to, like, it goes, there's a lot of stuff here. It's a good movie. I'm just going to put that out there. This is one of the better ones, period, like, at the top. And there's so much to it. The CGI is really good. The story is good. The directing is good. And Yates came in and completely made it his own thing. And that was good. And, like, the next couple are a little bit lesser, but he owned this movie. And the Harry Potter franchise we know now and going forward is David Yates. That's what it is, right?
It was, yeah, David Yates. That's what I wanted to make sure.
He made this now his thing. So not that the other ones don't matter, because the other ones are great. But now it became his ownership of the thing. Like when Paul Feige came in for Marvel.
Yeah.
Or
like he picked it up,
you
and
understand?
He
yes.
it. Like
this is really his universe now, and they were like, you know what? Warner Brothers was like, go with it. And this is, I wish DC would just take a note. I talked about this, and you'll see our other video coming up for new movies and news with Campo reviews. Take a note from one of your own franchises. There's a reason this movie is 9 movies in, with a 10th one coming and an 11th one in the future, and it's going strong. And I want more Harry Potter in the future, but sticking with this, this is a good, solid movie.
There's going to be remakes, you know it.
There's a lot to this. So just on a couple of my notes here, this movie does at one point go full Inception with Harry and Snape. Like, I don't know if you noticed it, but there's a part where he goes into his memories. And I didn't notice what was happening because I'm watching the movie and whatever. So he goes in his memories and the movie progresses. So it's going in Harry's memories and it's showing you what's happening through it, and you haven't seen this yet. So we're like 20 minutes, 15 minutes into this part. And I'm like, oh, what's happening is cool.
This is when he goes into like the mirror, no? Like
no, this is when Snape grabs him and brings him down to the dungeon. Dumbledore goes, take him down. This is when the girl has taken over the school.
Oh yeah, Umbridge. Okay. Yeah.
So
on track.
So Dumbledore says, take him down and go, let's like block out his memories, because they know now that, what's his name? Voldemort is in Harry's head. They're sharing the same memories together. They're connected, right? So he goes, you have to show Harry how to protect his memories so that he can't affect his brain, right?
Yeah,
like, or
Voldemort's
see where he is.
Switch him over.
So
he's pulling the Darth Vader. Like,
yes, there's a lot of Star Wars to this, but Harry. But you have to understand, you can't blame the movies for that because it's from a book. This is derived from a book. It is not
really just. It's kind of a tale as old as
time. It's an adapted screenplay.
Like the evil villain tries to bring the good guy to his side before he eventually.
This movie is epic because it's not like Marvel or DC where there's a series of movies and every movie progresses through its stages. There is one villain and one group of bad guys, and in every movie it's the same thing. And we only slowly progress. Like, we progress through the lives of the kids going through it more than the actual storyline. The storyline is kind of stagnant. There's certain little that happen, and then there's a main villain of the movie, and then it's over. But we never really get to the total plot point until the very end. There's an overarching story like this, which
they,
carries.
They show you
and
like,
in every
the upbringing
movie
of these kids,
exactly
right? Like their progression.
Every movie has its points that go boom, boom, boom through it, but there's still an overarching story that is what's carrying it. So the biggest thing I had with part 4 too is nothing really happens until the end when you meet Voldemort, obviously, but nothing really happens in the movie that progresses the arcing storyline until the end. There's no progression.
Because the Goblet of Fire was like more about like
but
it was that like not a filler movie, but like it was that the film in the franchise that like I said, it showed you the other aspects of this world. And then at the end, of course, they had to bring it like it can't be totally out of the fucking sink.
You speak
know what
the
I mean?
truth, because exactly what you said. This was a movie more to progress the storylines of the people. Okay, like when I said character development, we're gonna get into this again.
I think number 4 was the movie where they were like,
there was the most development in 4.
We're not gonna get every fucking
did we shoot?
We did for this movie. We're not gonna get every good part of this book into it. So like they put I think they jammed as much of like the lore of Harry Potter's universe into one movie.
Yeah,
as they possibly
in 4 and 5, I see that
before they could possibly.
Yeah, because now you knew it had to end.
The story.
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay, so let me just. So with that Inception part, okay? So we're 15 minutes in now to Snape in Harry's brain going full Inception, okay? And you're realizing you're seeing stuff you never saw, and you're like, okay, so the movie's progressing. You kind of lose yourself in the scenario. And then a couple minutes later, it snaps out of it, and you're back in that basement, and it's Harry and Snape, and you're like, holy shit, this whole time I've been in Harry's thoughts.
I fucking forgot I
forgot we were there because I was progressing in the movie. And then Harry goes into Snape's thoughts, and you have like 5 minutes of that, and you kind of get lost in that, in his history. But the difference is, because you know it's Snape's history, you don't forget that you're in the Inception moment, okay?
Yeah.
But with Harry, it was kind of like you're learning new things about Harry, and he looks the same, so you lost yourself. But with Snape, that was cool.
You forget a little bit, like where you're actually at in the story.
This is the first appearance of Luna Lovegood, played by YouTube star Poppy, who I really like this character, especially in this movie and the 6th one. I think that was a great addition. In the 7th and 8th, she kind of becomes irrelevant. Like, I know they go meet her father and stuff, but she becomes a non-factor. These 2 movies, she totally stands out, and her dullness meshes with Harry. The thing that I love about this series is, I know there's a lot of girls, obviously a lot of girls, they even say like Harry because he's the chosen one, and they know that.
Chang, Luna Lovegood, even Hermione at the beginning.
And then there's that other girl that they take him in the library when they're trying to find dates to the dance, and she's like, "Oh, that girl likes you," and he's like, "Why?" And she's like, "Oh, because she knows you're the chosen one, and she wanted to cast a love potion spell on you."
That chosen one,
but she was hot too. But anyways, you hit the point now where it's like Harry has so many offshoots of who he could love. So you had Cho Chang, and you had the Patel girl that he goes to the dance with, the Indian girl, and then you hit Luna, and they have like a vibe together. But I love their vibe because it's like, we should be together, but we'll never be together.
Because like she's so awkward and like out there.
But Harry's so awkward.
Exactly. Like they have more of a chemistry when they're not trying to flirt with each other than him and fucking that Weasley bitch do.
Yeah, and I'll give this
100%. A spin around?
An 8.
That's where we differ. I gave it a 7.
Jumping in here to part 6, just bang the shot. My boy here looks like he's about to die, but he's ready to go.
Not feeling it today.
I just immediately what's this one called? Half-Blood Prince. Okay.
Yes.
So spoiler alert: Half-Blood Prince is Snape. Cool.
Gotcha.
But it's cool. I really like the build-up in this movie of everything. The way they find the book. Dumbledore brings in the new professor, and you think it's to better Harry, but it's really. It's really to get Harry to find out his memories about Tom Riddle to help them find Voldemort, which is cool. So
kind of confusing sounding, but explain.
But I would just like to point out, as immediately as this movie starts, there's a winter Quidditch scene in the snow, and it is the best CGI of this whole series, and it is great. That's like, I don't give a shit about Quidditch, dog. That Quidditch is fam, dog. It's like, bruv, real good stuff.
Honestly, I like all the. I see the point you made before about the holes in the rules of the game, but honestly,
it doesn't make no sense.
All of the fucking Quidditch scenes are probably the best.
Make no sense.
Like they're really, really good.
Yo,
it's an awesome sport.
That
it's
in
amazing
the snow,
that she
them playing
came up with this whole random game in her head and put it into the movie.
But them playing in the snow,
I'm feeling it.
Yeah, it was like, yo, I'm gonna come up with a random game. It's kind of a mix of handball, bike ball,
I don't know what it's
and dodgeball and basketball, and then I'm just gonna put in a one item that ends the game. You know, it's like basketball, but if you make the half court shot, you win. Steph Curry, you got that.
No, man. If you count the snitch as a half-court shot, then, like, the snitch would be like...
Okay, well, the snitch is like a guy from home throws the ball through his TV and it goes in the thing.
No, I'll say it like this. We're from Toronto, so the snitch would be like you throwing the shot, the b-ball shot from the parking lot into the dome. And not even getting it in the net, but getting it at the court.
Okay, so it's like throwing it from the top of the hill at the pits into the net.
All right, we'll call it that.
We'll call it that. Anyways, but that scene looks so cool. It looks amazing.
It did. It looks really good.
In this movie, they suddenly adopt a way more crazy high school / like college like frat vibe with way more romantic elements than the other movies. Did you know? This is the one I was telling you where they were drinking and Hermione gets drunk off the butterbeer and like with the new, and it's like, but I get it. You're progressing, and this is the thing I love about the series. It progresses, but as you're watching it, jumping into the new movies where everything keeps changing constantly with what's happening and them growing, you're like, every time you get to one, you're like, oh, this is what's happening. Oh, this is what's happening. But by the end of it, once you've completed it, you're like, I love the growth. And like, I've watched it multiple times, except for, I'm not going to lie, Deathly Hallows 2, which was the first time I watched it was last night.
Really?
But I've seen all of them multiple times. Multiple. And I never appreciated the progression of the series until now, where once it was over, I was like, you know what? I really like that. Because before, when you don't watch them in a row, when you watch them one at a time, like, I'm not a Potterhead or anything, you know? Like, I say this all the time, which is stupid. Like, I love my comic book movies, so Marvel, DC is probably the ones I'm the most into, like, grounded. Yeah. But, like, I like Star Wars. I like Indiana Jones. I like Alien. I like Lord of the Rings. I love Quentin Tarantino, but like stuff that we've done, all right?
Yeah.
But I'm not a Star Wars fanboy, and I love DC Comics, okay? I love them, but I'm not a movie fanboy of DC because I understand the flaws. But I don't like Marvel Comics, but I'm a huge Marvel movie fan.
Well, they do their cinematic things a lot better, and I'm a DC guy through and through. And like I said, we can do this in another episode, but like, point of the story,
agreed. But the point I was going with,
but like when it comes to like their on-screen things,
yes,
they're two totally different things.
In movies, I judge as a critic. I don't judge this. Like, I love to read comics, and I will admit to you, I'd rather read a DC than a Marvel. Okay?
Oh yeah,
100%. And we can argue this kind of shit all day, but it doesn't matter. I'm not a Potterhead, but in this movie, like when you're, like I said, when you're watching them individually, the progression, you're kind of like, oh, this is what's happening. Oh, this is what's happening. But once you've got through all of them, especially like now I rewatched them all in a row, I was like, I didn't even realize it during the arc. Once I got to the end and it was over, I was like, you know what? I really appreciate the way that they grew through every movie through those phases. But in this movie I was watching and boom, first thing I noticed is like, oh, this is so American Pie / Animal House.
Where it happened for me was actually in the Goblet of Fire, because like even though I could like didn't like pertain to like the actual plot and like the evil nemesis.
It's like when you finally realize they like girls all of a sudden.
No, it wasn't that. What got it for me was like I stopped watching this series up until the Goblet of Fire. I started watching it, I never finished it, and then like for like a couple of years I didn't watch it. I was finally convinced to finish like that movie and then maybe try the next ones. And once I seen that Cedric Diggory died, I was like, shit.
Spoiler! Hashtag magic.
Hashtag magic, hashtag Dumbledore. Anyway, once I seen that Cedric Diggory died, I was like, wow, he was a really wholesome character to the story. He was part of the reason that made me think that like these movies are good, but like they're just really like corny and cheesy, and they're very Disney Channel. That's what I thought.
There's
one,
yes,
and I never finished it.
I agree.
I never finished it.
Can I just say? Let me just say this one thing.
Wait, I'm gonna forget.
I agree.
And I never finished it. So once I finally finished that movie, I realized, okay, like these movies have progressed a lot like deeper and a lot darker than I thought they would in just like the 15-20 minutes that I skipped over and didn't finish.
100%.
So going from there, that's where it really reeled me in to watch the rest of it.
All right, so I 100% agree, like I kept saying there. I'm sorry if I ever cut you off, but your point was good.
Forgive you.
Okay, producer Drew is gonna punch us in the face soon, so I'm gonna get through this fast. I'd also like to say, on top of the high schoolish, college romantic elements of this movie, like the party things that happen when Ron wins the tournament for them in Quidditch, because Hermione uses a spell to push the really good guy out in the practices, and then Ron becomes the goalie, and then they pretend to give Harry pretends to give Ron a potion. So Ron gets all hyped up thinking that he's taking this potion that makes him better, but Harry shows later, I've never gave him anything, and he does dope, and then he becomes all full of himself, starts dating a girl, Hermione gets mad, blah, blah, blah. All this shit ensues, and this is sort of where, like, a love triangle happens, but Harry and I would have liked to see, like, as stupid as it sounds, like, don't take this as me being an idiot. I would have liked to see Harry and Hermione hook up. Like,
they have one moment.
They do have a moment, but I know in the books I heard something happens. But I would have liked to see them actually hook up. Like, stupid as that sounds, like, I'm not being a pervert. I would have liked to see them have a sexual moment, and then realize that we're just best friends and never happen again. And then she moves on to Ron, but she did it in spite of Ron. You get it?
And that's where brings it back to my point where, like, there was a lot of moments in the books they could have added to the movies that would have touched on these details and would have answered a lot of questions for people who didn't read the books.
I didn't read the books.
You know what I mean? So there you go.
Okay, but this movie holds a much more tense, like, I know I said the other one has like a thriller vibe, which none of the other ones have, but this one holds a much more tense, mysterious story. Like, everything is tense about this movie. It's always constantly like, they're beefing, what's happening, and it's mysterious. You don't know what's happening. Okay, this one is very story driven. Like, the other ones have a solid story, they have directing, but this one,
it's the setup.
This one,
the big fucking
this
war.
one feels like the writing in this really mattered. Where, like, none of these movies are dialogue deep. Period. None of these movies are everything together deep. Okay, except for like one or two, which when we get to our list, you'll know the top two, but. In this one, it's so story driven. The story matters so much to everything that happens in this. It's crazy, okay? Spoiler alert. Dumble fucking Dick dies, and that's upsetting. And we'll get to that later, but that was like this is my question to you, okay? And I've wrote this here. In this movie, don't read this.
Okay.
Okay, you can read it after.
Okay.
We've experienced the GIF paintings and ghosts. There has been ghosts floating around forever, okay? Mm-hmm. These ghosts float around in Hogwarts, and we'll move on from this after this. But we always see the ghosts. None of these ghosts are the important people. When they talk about the legends of their wizardry, like this guy, none of those ghosts are those people. It's mostly John Cleese floating around with a half head. Shout out to Monty Python, hashtag Monty Python. But Dumbledore dies, okay? So we've seen that the legends of wizardry, minus the very important people, still exist floating through their ghost form. There's clearly nobody that could stop them. You can't hold back this element of their world, okay? Let me get through this and then you could chime in.
They really shove it down your throat. And like
they shove it down your throat until this point. Not only one question, where the fuck did all the ghosts go? All of a sudden in this movie, all the ghosts are gone, okay? I would like to just point this out. From this point on, okay, until the very ending of Deathly Hallows 2, when you see a ghost where he has to get a location of something from her, you don't see any more ghosts. Why doesn't Dumbledore have a ghost? Shouldn't he immediately have a Force ghost? Shouldn't Yoda come back with him and have a Force ghost?
It's another big hole in the story that I never really noticed before.
But does what I'm saying make sense?
No, it absolutely makes sense. And like one thing also,
shouldn't he immediately come back as a ghost?
But now that you said it too, like Hogwarts being as old and historical as it is, have you noticed that not one of the ghosts was a magical person?
Not one of them was an important.
They were just like an historical figure in that fictional.
They are the people that you see as ghosts are equivalent to the paintings. They have no meaning and they're just there. They're not the important people.
Even the paintings.
Okay, when you see Dumbledore's painting after he dies, when Harry goes in his room, it doesn't move and it doesn't talk to him. All the other paintings communicate and have things, but why is Dumbledore, the most important person, not have a ghost or a thing? And also, just to end this, you guys can comment below and let me know what you think about that, but oh my god, no, Snape is a bad guy. Alright?
But do leave your comments below, because my theory is that they're going to show more about what Dumbledore is supposed to be after his death.
Alright.
I think so. I think
We're ready?
Maybe in the Fantastic Beasts they'll show a.
Are you ready to? Yeah, well, we have to. They have to.
Go on.
Anyways, Dumbledore's brother comes, but okay, part 7. I'm a lot of. Oh, also, sorry, part 6. I gave it a 7.75. Half-Blood Prince. I'm assuming you must be like in my range because you.
I mean, I'm usually close, but I would put it up with like probably an 8.
Okay, he says an 8.
Just because, like I said, I'm a big fan of like when they really when they further the story and like do it properly. And that whole movie was, like I said,
it was proper.
It was like him gathering his team.
Listen,
so they can start preparing.
It didn't have the epicness of Order of the Phoenix, but it was proper. It was a proper movie. I give it a little bit less, just a little bit. But let's jump in.
It was like one of those Game of Thrones episodes where it's like it's not very action packed, but you need to see it.
Yes, you need it. Okay,
to
agreed.
Make everything all
Which
make
is
sense.
Perfect segue into this because this is the least anything happening movie. A lot of people rate this as the worst, and I 100%.
Yeah.
I know I would put it somewhere in the lower half, but it is not the worst. Part 7, which is Deathly Hallows Part 1. I would just like to immediately point out with this movie that it heavily borrows, which you're going to give a thumbs up from this. It heavily borrows from Lord of the Rings, where they have to achieve 3 items. Okay? Mm-hmm. One of them, which is a necklace, which the carrier cannot carry it. You have to wear it. And the carrier cannot have it for too long because it will mess you up mentally to wear it too long, where Ron does at some point get messed up and take off on them.
It corrupts
you,
just like the One Ring.
So they have to take turns wearing it, where, okay, in Lord of the Rings, he didn't need to wear the ring at all times, but he had to have it on his person, right, to keep it safe.
He never shared the burden, but I get what you're saying.
He never shared it, but
I get what you're saying.
It's an item where that happens, okay? So
very similar.
And I don't mean to throw Harry Potter under the bus at this point, but in the next 2 movies, it very heavily borrows from Lord of the Rings, which I give them credit because you're taking from a good movie, but this is why, though. We had already passed the Lord of the Rings period at this point, okay?
That's what
so they were like, this is a good idea.
I know, hold on, and I know you're going to fucking roll your eyes.
This is producer Drew is rolling his eyes in the background.
But, like, not for anything, and I'm not, because we always argue about this, but, like, when it comes down to the nitty-gritty fact, Harry Potter definitely borrowed more from Lord of the Rings just for the simple fact that Tolkien was around for like a whole fucking generation or 2 before Rowling.
But listen,
and not for anything, one of my biggest points about this is the invisibility cloak.
Okay.
Tolkien did it first. That's all I got to say.
But anyway, he didn't have an invisibility cloak. The ring gave him the power of invisibility.
No, there was that.
The cloak didn't give him invisibility.
Listen, there was that, but the fucking Elvish Queen gave him a cloak that made him invisible.
Oh shit, you're right.
Thank you.
He's right. I'm sorry. I'm not hype.
I'm not an arguer.
I'm not hypey.
I don't want to start this debate, but I just want to say, like, if you're gonna come to like who borrowed ideas from who,
I agree with you.
You can't say that the person who came generations after or like decades after.
Let me chime on this.
Was the original.
I'm not hyphy on the scene of Lord of the Rings. I do love the movies. Never read the books. Once again, I do read books. Don't think I'm stupid. But that's not my scene. I'm not a fantasy type of guy. My buddy is writing a book. Shout out to Negus. We'll put him. We know when the book comes out. We'll give him a shout out. But
I'll let you know.
I'm not a big fan of that scene. Okay. And as a kid, I was not a Harry Potter reader. I was a Tupac listener. But
same.
Let's just get through this.
Agree to disagree.
Lord of the Rings was a big thing, a huge book, especially from its time when it came out, especially in the fantasy. It's probably the biggest book in the fantasy genre, maybe a couple aside. But at this point, we had passed the greatness of the movies of the first 3 Lord of the Rings, okay? Which the Hobbits suck. I know, no argument. He likes it. But so at this point, they realize in Harry Potter, like, I know this is in the book, so I know they're deriving this from the books, and I'm not saying that they just decided to do this with the movies, but it came at a perfect time because we've ended our run of Lord of the Rings where they were going, and Harry Potter was doing its own thing, but now it hit this part of these two parts where it becomes more like Lord of the Rings, and it was perfect in a time where the movies had aged, like I said, they were aging to a point of adultness, okay? So it was the perfect time to do this. So if you're a Lord of the Rings fan and you don't like Harry Potter, you could not watch any of the rest of Harry Potter, which clearly would suck because you wouldn't know what's happening. But you could jump in at this point and you would immediately enjoy it because of its Lord of the Ring vibe. You understand what I'm saying?
I feel you.
Like, if you were willing to jump in and not know what's happening, you'd be like, wow, this is so similar to Lord of the Rings. It's a very personal, private story because where we grew up with all these kids and what's happening, now it's just about Hermione, Ron, and in this one, okay? This is more like, if you're going Lord of the Rings, this is like Fellowship. The three of them are on a journey, a private journey, which you still have whatever else is happening secondary.
Yeah.
In Lord of the Rings 2 and 3, it became more about the entire crowd. But in the first one, it solely super focuses on Frodo's journey. Do you know what I mean?
I feel what you're saying, because like at the end of the day, the Horcrux is that's what fucking matters. Yes. Even though like there's
and a lot of people
other things going on.
A lot of people rag on Fellowship, but I really like Fellowship because of the journey of it it doesn't need the action. It's the development of the characters. Anyways, okay.
Yeah.
We're getting too deep in this. At this point, I realize Ron still fucking sucks. Balls. He's a bitch. He wears the thing. He goes on his little stomp out journey. He is. I hate Ron. I hate you so much. Oh my god. I'm sorry if you're a Ron fan, okay? But this movie carries a lot of sadness compared to the other movies. Where we were talking about, the last one was like a mysterious, like romantic style, and the one before was like a thriller-ish. This one is very sad. There's a lot of sadness to this, okay?
It's where the series gets like
it also this one has probably the best cinematography. But from directing standpoint, where I'm giving him credit for the cinematography, it has the slowest fucking pacing. The pacing is so slow that this movie is so held back, and it feels just like, I don't want to rag on this movie because I thought it was good, okay? But I didn't think, it didn't live up to my expectation, which is Infinity War, okay? I thought it was a good movie, and I enjoyed it, but the reason I ragged on it is I still gave it an 8, but it didn't live up to my expectations because it was such a movie that needed the next part to develop the story. So in this movie, you get all this journey. It's slow paced, even though like this good stuff I said, and it gets to the end, and you're like, okay, geez, I went through all that, good, like it or love it, just to find out I need the second part to
just to hit the credits and be like, okay, fuck, I gotta come back in 8 months.
You know what I mean? Okay, so this one, 7.25.
I'm gonna give this one a 6.75.
6.75. Yeah. So this one is your lowest.
I would say, yeah, this one's my lowest. Just like you said,
like I told you, all those lists I read, it was on the bottom of like 7 out of the 9 or 10 lists I read.
I'm not trying to keep it like away. Like I'm not trying to.
None of these movies are bad.
I'm not trying to copy the list that I've seen.
Yeah.
I'm trying to give my real honest answer.
That's like me. But I like to look at other people's opinion. Like absolutely. I gave a 6.25 to the first one, and it's probably at my bottom of my list. But to me, a 6 is still a watchable movie. It's just, it doesn't have it's not good. It's just watchable. Okay, jumping into the last one, part 8. I'm going to take this shot. I don't know how you feel. Are you good?
You can edit that.
Hold on, wait. Okay. So part 8 is, save it. Do it again for the next one. Okay. So guys, part 8 is Deathly Hallows part 2. This is like the finalization of this story, and I don't know if you could see this.
Conclusion.
It has the lowest amount of notes I made. Like I told you, for some reason I only made notes on stuff that I didn't like, or really stuff that stood out.
So it really goes to show you how much you like the movie.
But this is easily in the top, no problem. Okay, this is the conclusion. Like I said, I want to point out one thing. And you and Drew can agree or disagree with me. Like I told you about the arcing of the story and appreciating what happened later. There was something about this movie, because like I said, this is the first time I watched it the other day. Something that immediately, all of the kids are the same actors, the same characters since day one. There's people that from the first movie that don't even have talking lines, that stand in the background, that in this movie, number 8, are the same kids.
I mean,
this is the thing though, and I'll get into the development part later. Like I want to talk about. I know you want to say something, but it blew my mind how it was still the same girl that played Cho. It was still the same guy that played Neville. It was still the same guy that played the kid that always has everything blow up in his face. I can't remember his name.
I forget his name too, the Irish kid.
It was still Malfoy, and Malfoy's two goons are still the same two guys.
Except for one.
But okay, but both the Patel girls, the Indian girls from the ball are still the same two girls. The people that everybody you saw, this is when you get the re-emergence of Camera Boy. Okay?
That's why this one was
This
so
is what
good.
made this special, and this is where I want not just DC, and I'm not calling you out, every superhero movie that have these arcing things. I get it that stuff changes, people have contracts and stuff, but the continuity, this is the best movie.
Thank you.
There's never been a better movie for continuity ever than the Harry Potter series.
That's what I was gonna say. Just the simple fact that like they didn't even need these characters. These could have been the most randomest backdrop fucking. They could have even used the same the same names and likenesses and be like, oh, that's Cho Chang. 2 years later, completely random bitch, or that's the photography kid. But like they picked the same people. The fact that they went to that length, even just for the background shots,
100%.
But what I thought was pretty cool, and like there you go, like I said, we were saying before, kind of touching back politically, I like Rowling because I can't remember. It was after the Prisoner of Azkaban. I believe it was either the Order of the Phoenix or the first Deathly Hallows. I think I could be wrong. Let me know if I am. But Malfoy's two goons. One of them stays the same.
One of them changes.
The taller, fatter one. But this is what
you know where it is?
This is where J.K. Rowling.
It's in the fifth one, Order of the Phoenix.
But this is where she gets like super not political, but like more with the times. She replaced the character with an African American character with the same name, playing the same role, and just slid him in. And I mean, honestly, he actually like. Going deeper into the movies, like into the later movies, even the like bit characters got more in-depth parts. Like they got kind of more in-depth scenes and like more deeper lines, or like just at least more lines for themselves. And they all did really good. Like I thought it was. I never like when they change a cast member, especially so drastically as to like completely change his race. But I thought that was awesome. I thought that was fucking great. He did a good job, and so did she for making that choice. If she did, could have been the director's choice. It's your turn.
All right, I put my hand up because in class we put our hands up.
For the first time ever.
I would like just to. I agree with you. We this is one point like on a lot of stuff we never agree, but we agree on this. I would like to just point out two things about that. One, for Potterheads and people, not even Potterheads, people who just like this movie. If you've watched all of them in a row like I did, you will notice the things. People who watch them here, there, they just have a fun time watching Harry Potter. Those little things are not noticeable, okay?
No, you gotta watch it.
But for extreme Potterheads, you're gonna notice those little differences. But the thing that made me feel like the writers and the directors and everyone cared about me. They cared about me. Because I'm watching this movie and you didn't bullshit me. You didn't change War Machine on me. You gave me, I get it, there's things that happen, contracts, whatever, especially with big name actors. None of these kids are big, but you went out of your way to make sure that I had the proper movie experience here.
It's like, to like the last detail where even the part where somebody doesn't speak, they're just there like, oh man, that's the fucking kid from number one.
People can rag on Disney and Marvel, whatever, and I understand, okay? I don't care. Disney's the best movie studio. That's why they do what they do. But Warner Brothers nailed this, okay? And Disney doesn't even do this. If you look at the Star Wars franchises, if you look at anything, Marvel, there's always these little people that bits and pieces that they change. Like, sure, for like the recent movies, because now they caught on to it. Boom, you have Michael Douglas as Hank Pym. But I'm sure in an early movie, like, obviously, he doesn't, okay? Sorry, don't fucking come at me for this, but I'm sure, like, there's a character like that where in the early movies it was different, okay? Like Tony Stark's dad. He goes from being one guy in the Iron Man movies to another guy in the.
You only ever see him in flashbacks
yes.
in the
but
beginning.
It's okay. It's
in
okay.
The beginning.
But I like his John Slattery version that is in the Iron Man movies / the Avengers
he's
movies.
More like Tony Stark
but in the Captain America movies, when it's old school and it has, I don't remember his name, but the guy with the black beard and stuff that looks more like Tony, that it kind of throws you off. But it's okay. I'm okay with that. But
in short, listen, I think the fact that
doesn't hurt me. But the Harry Potter did makes it more special because you cared that I noticed these people. You care, okay? So let's keep
the simple fact that they brought characters in from 6, 7 fucking years prior that you kind of even just forgot about. That's what.
Before we fully end this one off, I just want to get into one thing, and this is the thing we talked about at the beginning, was the development. And I agree with you. You named me everything that I noticed about development. Hermione, Harry, Ron, Dumbledore, Hagrid, Neville. Okay, you have this. Character. Okay, all these characters that we named that are in every movie. Okay, in the books, they're bigger roles. Like Drew was telling me that in the books, they're bigger roles. They're children of bigger wizards that used to be, or they come from long lines of lineage. Okay, but hold on, let me finish this. This is the thing where it got me. I get what you're saying, but it's not like Lord of the Rings where you had 3 movies to do what you did, and I get it. So in those 3 movies, you gave me the main people. Legolas, you gave me Frodo, Merry, Pippin, and Sam, and Aragorn. Okay, you gave me their progression, which I get that that's what we got in Harry Potter. The problem with Harry Potter is we're not 3 movies. We're 8 movies plus the prequels of Fantastic Beasts and all those other characters that appear in every movie that I appreciate. Thank you. Don't have any development. 0. I don't know anything about any of them. Period. Cho comes in from every movie from that point when she likes Harry to every movie after. And all I know is that she's there. She's just an Asian girl that's there. But the Patel sisters are there. All I know is they're just some Indian girls that are there. I don't know anything about them. Okay? No one in Slytherin, other than Malfoy, do we know anything about. Okay?
Not even his
This is my point,
bodyguards.
though. When I was telling you that, why are Slytherin the bad guys? And I name my points of why that people would say that. Mm-hmm. But outside of the main bad guys in Voldemort and Half-Blood Prince, who is Snape, and Malfoy, there's no reason for me to hate any of the other Slytherins because I don't know anything about any of those people. There is 0 character. This is the thing, okay? I'm not going to say this ruins the movie, but in 8 movies, you should have developed some of those background characters. You focus so much on the people that are directly in front of me all the time that I have so much development from them that I don't need that much. You could have cut away and showed me more about Luna Lovegood. You know what I mean? Is that her name? Yeah, right? Yeah. You could have showed me more about Maggie Smith's character, the professor. I don't remember her name, but you know what I mean?
I think the only saving grace from this...
You could have shown me more about Hagrid.
Like I said, I think the only saving grace from this is the fact that they now have the potential to do amazing spin-offs. They could do a series. They could do whatever about Luna, about whoever the fuck.
Okay.
Whereas, we always get into this, the difference between, my opinion of this on the Lord of the Rings.
No, we'll get into that.
For whatever reason. Anyway,
we'll do a Lord of the Rings episode.
Like you were saying before, you were not you weren't impressed, but these characters don't develop. You don't know anything.
There's 0 development. How are you in 7 movies and you don't develop?
After 8 movies or 7 movies, they don't develop.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And you can't even other than fan theories, you can't even go reference anything else.
Exactly. Whereas if I didn't read the books, I don't know.
Whereas in Tolkien's world, at least, dude, the guy was so
It's a girl.
Tolkien.
Tolkien. Sorry, I thought you were saying
he was so
J.K. Rowling.
Whatever, in detail about everything. The guy wrote his own history books about his fantasy land that he made up.
And this is the thing,
so you could always reference something somewhere.
We're not arguing the 2 series, okay? But I agree with you. My point is just that you could have developed more people. I get it. In the books, they're way more developed because books, you can easily develop characters better. I get it. But I didn't read the books. So this is my point. As a cinephile, as a movie critic, watching this movie, and I didn't read the books, the point of movies is not to just please the people who have enjoy the DC comics, which I understand. People go watch comic book movies that don't know as much as me, and I get it.
Who are experiencing it for
Lord of the Rings,
time.
I went into Lord of the Rings and I got what I wanted. Harry Potter didn't give me that, so let's just end this quick. The Snape twist is epic.
It's honestly it's what makes the entire fucking series. I think
the Snape twist is epic. Let's give one.
It's better than
before he throws a rock at us. Let's go. Let's go.
Ever.
1 minute right now that we can talk about the Snape twist. Go.
Oh fuck! I don't even know.
Okay, let me get in on this.
The fact that like you were even saying before, he kind of like protects Harry, whatever. You don't even notice it, but like realistically, he doesn't even do it for Harry. He loved Harry's mom so much. He sacrificed like basically his freedom. You know what I mean? He like committed him whatever. He did his whole undercover thing, but like even at the end, you think like it's all for Harry. It's for the chosen one. But realistically, he didn't even like Harry that much. But he was pissed off that Harry's dad conceived him or whatever the fuck. He wanted to be that guy.
I was hoping though. Can I just say one thing?
Everything he did was for his mom.
I was hoping at that final sequence when like I know he dies and Harry gets his tears for the thing, and then. Snape dies and then Harry dies after and he goes to like his heaven thing. I was honestly hoping, like this, as stupid as it sounds, that Dumbledore was going to tell him Snape is your father or something and that he's been watching over you this whole time to protect you. And regardless, okay? This is my thing about that.
That would have been pretty.
I love that. I love the way that they tie that whole thing together because, like I told you, in the beginning, until the point where Snape becomes bad, the directing... The filming of the movie, the directing tries to make you feel Snape is bad. But the writing of the movie makes you try to feel Snape is good. So it's conflicting because you understand what Snape is doing, but what they're showing you is wrong. Like every time he's away from Harry, you see you see him protecting Harry. Every time that they're together, it seems like they're conflicting. And you get to this point where Harry realizes everything and all the shit goes through and then Snape had to kill Dumbledore to prove his worth to the Slytherin or to Voldemort, okay?
Yeah, and Dumbledore knew it.
Dumbledore told Snape, after you kill me, you have to make sure the boy dies so that he could go to heaven to see Dumbledore, so Dumbledore could explain to him what happens, so that way he could bring him back alive so that he could have the power to kill Voldemort and know that he had to take out the snake. And then they knew they needed the basilisk, okay? We're not gonna get super into this, but that was awesome,
dude. Like I think
that changed the movie because each
of these movies could have their own. Okay,
you had
episode.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 movies making me debate whether or not I like Snape. Then in the end of the 5th one, you made me realize for 5, 6, 7. Okay?
Thank you.
You made me realize for the ending of 5, from the ending of 5, and then 6, 7, that Snape is bad. I hate fucking Snape. I hate him. Then it gets to 8, and you hate him even more when he goes to the school and banishes him out. Dude, but then Snape dies, and you wonder... Okay, but Harry has this weird vulnerability to Snape when he's dying, and he's like... gets his tear, and you can see that in Harry's face. He's still... Ron and Hermione are like, why are you sad about this? Because Harry knows something deeper. He can feel the vibe. He's like a Jedi, right?
Yeah.
He can feel the vibe. And when he goes there and you find the story, you're like, holy shit. Not only was I led wrong for 5 movies, then I was forced to believe something for 3 movies, and now I realized that this guy was just here to... His whole life goal was to protect Harry.
And suddenly just that fact alone...
He killed Dumbledore to protect Harry.
But that fact alone, what they hid from you for the entire series and then bombshelled you with, doesn't that kind of almost change your whole opinion on all the movies as a whole, though?
But that's what I was saying.
Right?
Just like I was talking about the overarching thing, you don't realize it till later, or the characters until later. All right, so just to finish off Deathly Hallows 2 here, I'd like to say we came to a great conclusion. Like we talked about before, I mean, I would have liked to see them carry on the Order of the Phoenix. It does have a happy ending. I really vibed with that ending and seeing the kids, and I hope we get more Harry Potters in the future with them being older and the kids being the people, but still having Harry and stuff. But, I mean... as good as it was, the final fight of the movie was super repetitive. Like the last half an hour was, but it's a great movie.
I'll agree with you. Like all his fights with fucking Voldemort almost seem exactly the same, for the most part. But as a whole, the climax of the movie, the way it concluded, the way they tied off everybody's endings, I was very satisfied. I can't lie. Like it was actually very good.
All right, so this movie I give an 8.5. I think you gave it equal to me, right?
Yeah, I think 8.5.
Yeah, 8.5.
You gave it an 8.5.
So, okay, so we'll get into Fantastic Beasts, just a quick summary of it. Fantastic Beasts is the prequel to Harry Potter. It's about the magic world developing into where it became when they had the order and it became the government of magic, and
it shows the Wizarding World also from overseas and like from North America's point of view.
Yeah, finally. And
which you don't really see.
But the thing is, there must be magic all over the world, which was what I was getting to in the other one, alluding to. But
yeah, absolutely. But like, I get what you're saying. Like, they kind of just centered it in one region of the globe, even though there was multiple countries. But yeah, no, Fantastic Beasts was good. I love the cast. I love their chemistry. I forget the gentleman's name, but the main protagonist and his like the Muggle that he like stumbles upon who gets his briefcase. I forget his name. Clarkson.
Yeah, it's played by Dan Fogel.
Yeah, Dan Fogel. Amazing chemistry between the both of them. The story was really good. And I think adding the Muggle into it and like
the two sisters were good too that they fall in love with. I like that.
I think like
Colin Farrell was good as the antagonist.
He always plays a good villain. I liked him. Like, he was in the Ministry of Magic. I thought that he was going to be. Cool. I thought he was going to be more of a hero when I saw the trailers. But like I was saying, like what I really loved the most was like the fact that like Clarkson being the Muggle, but so late in life.
Yeah.
Where like when you look at the first movie, even if you're Muggle born, whatever, if you have some novice adequate skills of magic, you can hone your skills, right? Like Hermione did. Her parents were both Muggles, whatever. So I think the fact that he was a Muggle so late in life entering this world of magic and then being accepted, definitely really cool.
I also like to point out that a cool thing about this movie is obviously it's called Fantastic Beasts, but in the Harry Potter series you see a lot of the beasts here and there. Like there's moments where you get introduced to that weird like snake, flying horse, and like the centaurs and stuff, but just like, it's cool to see the beasts. Like, that was a cool thing. When he opens his bag and he has all those cool beasts, and you as an animal lover, that must be like a cool thing, right?
The biggest thing for me was, like, I love how Rowling used real, like, mythological beasts from, like, history, but the fact that she also came up with a lot of her own. And they were really original and just very, honestly, very interesting, very, like, deep, and, I don't know, just, like, so detailed, like, really, really, really cool, I think.
I like to give a shout-out to... at the end, spoilers, Johnny Depp's scene, because Johnny Depp's character is very important and he has a lot to do in the Harry Potter universe, but it just doesn't really come back to you. If you really go through it, his character has an important sort of place in the Harry Potter verse, and to have him come up in the younger world and Johnny Depp, like Johnny Depp's always good and he plays a lot of weird characters, but
very immersive actor.
So what would you rate this?
I would give this one...
I think you...
Did I rate it on yours?
Yeah.
I gave it an 8.
Yeah, I gave it a 7.3. I know that's a weird rating, but it has... That 3 adds its placement in the universe because it's slightly better than one and slightly worse than the other. So right now what we're going to do is we're just going to jump into our lists of it. Should I go first or should you go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I'll go first, ranking all the Harry Potters, including Fantastic Beasts, leading into the new one coming out in November. So at number 9, because there's 9, I have Harry Potter and the Philosopher's / Sorcerer's Stone. Okay, I don't care what you say, that movie's not good. Well, it's not as good. It's not as good.
Okay,
number 8, I have Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, because once again, it's lacking. At number 7, I have Deathly Hallows Part 1, because it isn't bad, but it's boring and slow, okay? At number 6, I have Fantastic Beasts. It's a good movie, but it could have been a lot better, especially coming from the Harry Potter universe, and leading up to that point, the last like 5 movies leading up to it, all being better than it, was kind of a little of a letdown.
They kind of also had better monsters.
Yeah. So at number 5, I have Goblet of Fire. At number 4, I have The Half-Blood Prince. At number 3, I have Order of the Phoenix. At number 2, I have Deathly Hallows Part 2. And at number 1, I have The Prisoner of Azkaban. And the reason a lot of people argue between those two as being the best, the reason I say that Prisoner of Azkaban is better is because not only did Deathly Hallows 2 borrow a lot from the Harry Potter with the big battle, which is awesome. Like, we didn't even talk about that, but the big battle, that's awesome. Like, a lot of that's derived from Lord of the Rings stuff. Prisoner of Azkaban changed the series completely. Like, in the books, it might not be the one that did it, but in the movies, it's the one that completely took this series in a different direction for the better. And if not for this movie, we might not have ever gone where we got. And for that, it's number 1 to me.
I like your list. All right, coming in for me, number 9 would be The Goblet of Fire. I mean, it's a good movie, but like I said, it was very off topic for the whole series. Number 8 was the Deathly Hallows Part 1. Again, just like a big scavenger hunt, if you were to sum it up in one word. Number 7 was the Sorcerer's Stone. This would have been ranked higher for the nostalgia aspect of it for me, because like it being the origin story, and I'm a big fan of Origins. But the chemistry of the actors, like, I mean, come on, they were freaking 10 years old. They couldn't have been that good. Number 6 was the Order of the Phoenix,
which a lot of people put very high, which I'm surprised you put it low, but your list is your list.
Hey, we all got our opinions, right? Number 5 would be the Chamber of Secrets. Again, this one could have been better, but the nostalgia of this really gets me the most, because like this was like the first Harry Potter movie I really was completely excited about before and after I watched it.
Is this point at number 5 where you really start jumping into the really good movies, would you say?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because the Half-Blood Prince completely trumps fucking all the other ones that came before it. Obviously why it's number 4. Fantastic Beasts was great. I love the fact that, like I said before, they went overseas. They showed you the American side. They showed you what was going on in this wizarding world that we're completely unbeknownst to, but it's going on like all around us.
It is so different than the rest of Harry Potter.
It's so different. Like, it's crazy, and I love that, because again, real life culture and atmosphere in North America is completely different than it is in Europe, and I love that she really touched on that. Number 2 would be the Deathly Hallows Part 2. For its intense climax. Like, this could be tied with number 1. But
I agree.
I'm a very biased person, and The Prisoner of Azkaban is my absolute favorite. Love Professor Lupin's, his entrance. I love Gary Oldman's performance.
Oh, yes.
He's, just amazing. He never lets you down. And I love the progression of Harry Potter. I think in this role, he really came into his character.
I love how we're so different when we do our talks and we make our list. But for once, when we got to the final 2, we perfectly agreed on the placement of it, and for the same exact reason.
They deserve it, man. You know what I mean?
A lot of people will put Hallows 2 over Azkaban, but there's a reason Azkaban is 1, because it completely changed the face of Harry Potter, at least in the movie universe.
Absolutely. I agree with you.
Anyways, guys.
That was a long-ass fucking episode. Yeah. Hope you watched the whole thing. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for watching.
See you in the next episode of Flick You. See you in the next review for the Fantastic Beasts Part 2 and where to find them. Yeah. You can find them right here with me and Campo.
All right, guys. Remember, like, comment, and subscribe, and go flick yourself.